everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting off my worm bin project. I am super excited. I've done a lot of research. I've been feeling overwhelmed and continue what I should do it or not, but now I'm just going to get into it. I'm just going to plunge into it and see what
Alrighty
happens.
guys, so in this video you see me talking about, I decided to do a voiceover just to share with you things I've learned in the hopes that inspires someone to get started too, and just my journey in deciding to do worm composting. Alrighty, so the few things I used to help me with gathering information for worm composting was number one, and the main thing was joining a Facebook group with like minds. So I joined a worm composting group, and with there I asked a lot of questions, saw how people were doing things, and from there I got a lot of information about where to get started, how to get started, and things like that. And even from there, I was advised to get a book, and this particular book is called Worms Eat My Garbage: How to Set Up and Maintain a Worm Composting System. So those two things were very crucial in my journey of learning about worm composting and deciding that it was something to do. I got that book in my library in interim when I was trying to decide whether or not I would plunge into this project. Now, I decided to do worm composting because I wanted to create my own compost for myself. For my garden, I don't have a big garden, so I figured if I did this small system or just have my own little composting thing right there, that I would be able to have my own compost and not have to, buy compost or drive all the way to the host farm where I usually get my compost from. In previous years, we had a car that I could go and get it, but now I have to hire someone to go get it to top my soil every year. And next year, I don't intend to do that because things are getting expensive for everyone. Okay. So I decided, set up this worm bin and do composting. Now it's be different because I can't cover the whole thing with one compost, right? My topsoil. However, for each plant I could put some casting in there and it will be just as, efficient as, topping it up in my own, view of having compost for your garden. Alrighty, so that's why I'm doing worm composting. I did initially also have a bunny, and with my bunny, I would just simply apply the bunny compost into when I dug in my plants um to transfer them. I would just apply one bunny compost, and that was really good. But now I don't have a bunny, so I don't have bunny compost. I'm not going to start looking for a way to buy bunny compost. So this for me was just my solution in enriching my soil. Lastly, before I decided to plunge into this, I had actually bought one casting from a gardener in Florida, I don't remember, and I see that the worm casting is really effective in my garden. So I'm like, you know what? Why not do this? And it just makes sense. If you look at a good soil, my horse manure based soil, if I dig, I see worms everywhere, right? So I'm like, it makes sense that you have your worms doing the work for you, and then have your castings. Castings are expensive, by the way. Worm castings are expensive. So I decided this was the route that I would take. Now, based on my research, worm composting, also known as vermiculture or vermicomposting, these are terms that you can find people using. The expense of it is based off how much you're willing to spend, and that's for your setup. So some people would want to get the actual trays, the actual composting system to start their journey, and other people want to just use the worm. You can just use the shoebox, or you can use the tote and all kind of things like that. You can see me here in this video. I decided to use a tote, 7-gallon tote, to get started. So the things I've learned so far from what I've just started doing is that the wider the surface area for your worms, the better, especially when you're a beginner, because the wider space is more forgiving if you make a mistake, whether it's basically maybe the system you're creating is too moist, or things like that. When you have a wider surface area, it forgives your error, more so when you're a beginner. So initially I wanted to do a 5-gallon small container, that I could carry easily, but then I realized that the surface area was small, so I got a bigger surface area. It's still 7 gallons, not so huge. I can still carry it. That's another thing I learned, that be mindful when you're deciding how big you want to go with your beans, because it's going to get heavy, because remember, you're filling this in beddings that has water soaked in it. It's going to be heavy to carry. So with that, I settled for a 7-gallon compost to start off. Now depending on how things go, I do not intend to start selling worms or castings. Really, it's solely for my garden. But when I joined the worm farming the worm composting group, they were like, oh, they were like, congratulations, you're gonna be having some more worm beans in a couple months. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. But honestly, if you grow your worm garden, if you grow your worm environments, vermicompost rightly, you're gonna have multiplications of worms. But there are ways, according to the books, that you can contain it enough for yourself. But that's it so far, guys. So if you want to join me in this new journey, stay tuned. I will try my best to carry you guys along in this journey. The next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I set up my beddings and the things I learned even with the setting up my bedding, guys. There's so much to learn. I'm so excited. I haven't bought the worms yet because I want to make sure my bedding is right. So see you guys in the next video, and comment below and let me know what you guys think.